Surviving alone is hard. Surviving with a friend is an entirely different experience. Suddenly, every decision is a negotiation. Every resource is a conversation. Every crisis is either a perfectly coordinated team effort or a complete disaster that ends with someone blaming someone else for everything that went wrong. And honestly, both outcomes are equally fun. Co-op survival games tap into something primal, the instinct to work together, build something from nothing, and keep each other alive against a world that is actively trying to destroy you. And when you finally build that base, survive that first brutal night, and look at what you and your crew created together, nothing in gaming hits quite like that. In 2026, the co-op survival genre is absolutely thriving. Today, we've rounded up the very best of it. These are the co-op survival games you and your squad need to be playing right now. Let's get into it. No Man's Sky went from a rocky launch to one of the greatest redemption stories in gaming, and today it's a genuinely massive co-op survival sandbox. You and your friends can explore an entire procedurally generated universe together, landing on strange alien planets, building bases, taming creatures, and piloting starships through space battles. The scale is staggering. Entire planets to explore, resources to gather, and a survival loop that constantly pushes you to upgrade your gear and ships. Years of free updates have added features like full base building customization, underwater exploration, mech suits, and even proper multiplayer quest lines you can tackle as a group. It's one of the rare games where the co-op experience feels genuinely open-ended. You can set your own goals, build your own colony, or just fly off into the void together and see what you find.
It's impossible to talk about co-op survival without mentioning the game that basically defined the genre. Minecraft still holds up because it lets you and your friends build literally anything, survive against the night's monsters, and explore an endlessly generated world with zero limits on creativity. What keeps it fresh year after year is the constant stream of updates adding new biomes, mobs, and mechanics, along with an absolutely massive modding and server community that reinvents the game in ways the original developers never even imagined. Whether you're building a modest wooden cabin or an entire redstone-powered city with your friends, the core loop of mining, crafting, and surviving together never really gets old. It's simple to pick up, nearly bottomless in depth, and honestly, one of the safest bets you can make for a co-op game night with any group, veterans or total beginners.
Forget slow survival crawling. Dead Island 2 is pure over-the-top zombie carnage built for co-op mayhem. You and up to 2 friends tear through a zombie-infested Los Angeles using a brutal melee combat system where limbs fly, skin peels, and every weapon feels genuinely satisfying to swing. It's less about base building and more about pure combat chaos, slicing through hordes, unlocking wild character skills, and chasing down side missions across a map dripping with dark humor. The character variety means every player in your squad can build a completely different playstyle, whether that's a berserker charging into crowds or someone playing it safer with ranged weapons and traps. If your group wants fast, brutal, blood-soaked action instead of slow-burn survival, this is the perfect co-op palate cleanser between the more methodical games on this list.
Palworld took the internet by storm by mixing creature collecting with hardcore survival crafting, and somehow it just works. You and your friends catch strange creatures called pals, put them to work on your base doing everything from farming to manning machine guns, and explore a massive open world full of danger. The co-op chaos is the real selling point here. Imagine building a factory line powered entirely by adorable monsters while fending off raids from rival factions and towering bosses. Since launch, updates have added new islands, raid bosses, and even PvP base building modes, giving groups plenty of reasons to keep coming back. It's equal parts hilarious and genuinely deep once you get into the automation and combat systems. And there's nothing quite like watching your pals defend a base you spent hours building with friends.
Once Human throws you and your squad into a bizarre post-apocalyptic world twisted by a strange cosmic force called stardust, where reality itself doesn't play by normal rules. You'll build bases, craft powerful gear, and fight deviant creatures that used to be human, all while uncovering a genuinely intriguing mystery driving the story forward. What sets it apart is the sheer variety. One moment you're in a straightforward survival loop, the next you're dealing with anomaly-warped zones that completely change how you have to play. The game runs on a seasonal structure, so new content, mechanics, and areas keep rotating in, keeping things from ever feeling stale. It's free to play, which makes it an easy game to get a full squad into, and the co-op scenarios are built specifically around solving puzzles and clearing threats as a team. Enshrouded blends survival crafting with action RPG combat in a way that feels genuinely fresh. You and up to 15 friends drop into a cursed kingdom covered by a deadly fog called the Shroud, and every second you spend inside it drains your life away, forcing you to dash in, grab loot, fight enemies, and get out before it's too late. The building system is one of the most flexible in the genre, letting you sculpt terrain and construct massive bases from scratch, while the class system gives you real build variety, whether you want to play a tank, a ranger, or a spellcaster. Since its full launch, developer Keen Games has kept adding new regions, altars, and story content, giving the world real depth beyond just survival mechanics. If you want survival crafting with actual RPG progression baked in, this is one of the strongest co-op picks out right now. Valheim proves that you don't need cutting-edge graphics to make one of the best co-op survival games ever built. You and your crew sail long ships across procedurally generated seas, chase down massive bosses, and build Viking villages that can genuinely take your breath away. The progression loop is addictive. Beat a boss, unlock new gear, push into a scarier biome, repeat. And building together with friends never gets old, thanks to a construction system that rewards real creativity. Since launching, it's had major content expansions adding new biomes, enemies, and mechanics, and the Ashlands and Deep North updates have given veteran players entirely new reasons to jump back in. Whether you're chopping your first tree or sailing into a storm to fight a serpent, Valheim's combination of exploration, combat, and building still holds up as one of the genre's gold standards. Before the sequel, there was the original, and it's still one of the best entry points for co-op survival newcomers. Grounded shrinks you down to insect size in a suburban backyard, where blades of grass tower over you and spiders are your worst nightmare. What makes it click for groups is how approachable the crafting and building systems are. You can go from spawning with nothing to running a full base with ziplines and mutations in just a few hours. The story mode gives you an actual narrative to chase, uncovering the mystery of why you got shrunk in the first place, while the sandbox difficulty options let hardcore players crank up the challenge. It's colorful, it's funny, and it hits that perfect balance of tense combat and relaxed base building that makes it easy to recommend to friends who've never touched a survival game before. Imagine being the size of an ant in your own backyard. Except now, that backyard is Brook Hollow Park, 10 times bigger and 10 times more dangerous. Grounded 2 puts you and up to 3 friends in the shoes of shrunk-down teens fighting spiders the size of trucks and building bases out of grass blades and bottle caps. Since launching into early access, Obsidian has been dropping massive updates, new bosses, new zones like the Black Anthill, and a full buggy vehicle system so you can actually ride around the map instead of walking everywhere. The crafting tree is deep, the combat is surprisingly tactical, and exploring the map with friends turns every acorn and puddle into an adventure. With more updates rolling out through the year and a PS5 release opening the door to even more players, Grounded 2 keeps getting better the longer you stick with it. You and your friends land on an island that looks peaceful for about 10 seconds. Then the trees start moving. Sons of the Forest throws you into a mutant-infested wilderness where building a base isn't just fun, it's survival. You'll cut logs, stack walls, and construct entire fortified camps. But the real tension comes at night, when cannibal tribes start testing your defenses. The building system lets you get creative. Rope bridges, zip lines, traps reek to catch anything that gets too close. And you're not doing this alone.
Kelvin and Virginia, your AI companions, can be commanded to chop wood, build structures, or fight alongside you, but nothing beats having real friends watching your back when the horror hits. With full modding support and continued updates keeping the island fresh, this is still one of the most atmospheric co-op survival horror experiences you can play with a squad. V-Rising flips the survival formula on its head by making you the monster instead of the prey. You and your friends play as vampires clawing your way back to power, sleeping through the day to avoid the deadly sun, and hunting humans and other supernatural threats by night. The base building lets you construct genuinely gorgeous vampire castles, while the combat system borrows real depth from action RPGs. Dodging, weapon combos, and unique vampire abilities you unlock as you progress. Since its full release, updates have expanded the map and added new boss fights, gear, and mechanics, giving both new and returning players plenty to sink their fangs into. Raiding bosses together to unlock new powers, and then using those powers to build an even bigger castle with your friends creates one of the most satisfying progression loops in any co-op survival game right now. Raft takes the simplest survival premise imaginable. You're stranded in the middle of the ocean on a tiny raft, and turns it into one of the most charming co-op experiences out there. You and your friends start with basically a few planks of wood, and slowly expand your raft into a sprawling floating base while fending off hungry sharks circling below. The story campaign takes you through a genuinely fun mystery across various islands, giving your exploration real purpose beyond just gathering resources. What makes it click in co-op is the shared ownership of your raft. Watching it grow from a tiny platform into a multi-story floating fortress with farms, rooms, and defenses feels like a real team accomplishment. It's relaxing enough for a chill session, but has just enough survival tension to keep everyone engaged, making it one of the best low-pressure co-op picks on this list. Don't Starve Together proves that gorgeous graphics aren't what makes survival games great. Style and smart design do. You and your friends are dropped into a dark, whimsical wilderness where staying sane is just as important as staying fed, and the Tim Burton-esque art style makes every creature feel genuinely unsettling. The crafting and exploration loop is deceptively deep. You're constantly balancing hunger, sanity, and the changing seasons, each of which brings entirely new threats that can wipe out an unprepared group. What makes it shine in co-op is how much cooperation actually matters. Sharing resources, splitting up exploration duties, and reviving each other when things go wrong creates genuine teamwork instead of everyone just doing their own thing. With years of character updates and seasonal events still rolling in, it remains one of the most unique and replayable co-op survival experiences around. Rust is brutal, unforgiving, and absolutely not for the faint of heart, which is exactly why it's still one of the most talked about co-op survival games out there. You and your group start with literally nothing on an island full of other players, and every decision, who to trust, where to build, when to raid, actually matters. The base building and raiding systems are legendarily deep. Building a base that can actually withstand explosives and enemy raids takes real strategy, and defending it with your friends creates some of the most intense moments in gaming. Regular updates keep adding new weapons, vehicles, and building mechanics, and the constant player-driven chaos means no two servers ever play the same way twice. If your group wants high stakes, real tension, and the kind of stories you'll be talking about for years, Rust delivers that in a way almost nothing else does. Ark Survival Ascended is the definitive way to experience the dinosaur survival game that basically created the modern taming genre. You and your tribe crash land on an island packed with dinosaurs, and your job is simple: survive, tame the biggest creatures you can find, and build a base that can withstand both wildlife and rival players. The remaster gives the entire game a massive visual overhaul, while keeping the deep taming, breeding, and base building systems that made the original a genre staple. And it comes with expanded maps and creatures that keep the content fresh. Nothing beats the moment your group tames its first flying mount, or takes down a boss fight together using an army of dinosaurs you raced from scratch. With full mod support and a constant stream of new map content, Ark remains one of the most ambitious co-op survival sandboxes out there.